After taking on the streets of Chicago, NASCAR goes to the super speedway of the Atlanta Motor Super Speed. Whatever, it's Atlanta. It's fast. It's ready. We're going to hit it on the back road right after this.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. The checkered flag. That's all this race is.
From the States.
Happy Thursday evening, everyone. This is the Backroad. It's in between media's NASCAR betting and fantasy NASCAR show. We are back here to prep for the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Elliot Hicks, Seth Woolcock, Rod Villagomez here with you. Guys, we had a fun one last week, and we are set for another fun one this week on the little tiny super speedway, we'll say.
Yeah, if we couldn't have asked for a better recovery from Chicago, we get Atlanta. It's going to be a shit show. I'm excited for it, though, boys. We got the Peaches. We're heading back to Georgia for the second time. First track of the season. We do have some data on this specific circuit heading back to it. So I'm excited about it. How are you feeling, Rod?
Well, I said on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, you can take all that research, you can print it out, crumple it up, and burn it, because it really, honestly, it's we can say and sit here and say, well, this is the what we got, but it's a super speedway. I mean, it's just like Chicago last week. We can make our best guesses, but until it plays out on the track, no one really knows what's going to happen this weekend. And I mean, that's what makes it fun to watch. But like we talked about just before we got on, it makes it horrendous to bet and play DFS on. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, super speedways are crazy, but at least we had seen them before. Let's look back in the rear view at NASCAR's first street course race. So almost against all odds, we got this race in. You know, Xfinity ended up being lightning and rain shortened. They had to throw that out on Sunday morning to get the Cup race in. They did. It turned out well. And against all odds, Project 91 took the checkered flag. Shane Van Gisbergen gets the win for Trackhouse. And boys, I mean, we were kind of towing the possibility of him finishing all right. But a guy making his Cup debut, you know, I brought up top 10 numbers and even the outright for him. But it was so easy to laugh it off because nobody ever wins in their first start in NASCAR, except for this guy.
Well, and I think that's the thing. Like I talked about it in a blog on Monday. Like I could not fathom that someone was going to come into our precious sport, never have driven a stock car in this variety, and they're going to wheel it to victory. And yes, there was some crazy shit that happened. There was the pileup. There was some rain. There was it being shortened that played in his favor. But I think no matter how many laps we go last week, if we go the full 100, SVG is the winner. And man, I mean, fuck the betting slips, fuck the DFS lineups. It was really, really cool to see.
It was a feel-good story right from the get-go. I mean, that guy's car was so fast. It was just fast all day long. And, you know, he caught, no matter where he was at, he caught up with the leaders and passed him. And in fact, it wasn't as if he was taking a while to get there. It was like he was on him and he was gone. Like it just, That's how crazy it was. And, you know, for those of us who watch F1, street racing is not necessarily all that foreign of a concept, but the difference between F1 and stock car racing is you can lean heavy on each other with these cars, and you can get into each other. You can run into the tire fence and get pulled out and keep going, a la Kyle Busch, and still come in for a really good finish for Kyle Busch as well. So that race right from the start was something that it was good for NASCAR. I cannot wait for it to go somewhere else. I loved Chicago. I think they're going to go back, obviously, again next year. I really feel like Chicago wants them to go back because they want to show what it's like when it's not raining. But I think you could take this thing on the road, quite literally. And, man, it's going to be so much fun to watch these guys take on different street courses. And just, I mean, they'll get the hang of it eventually, just like they did with road course racing. And we'll be in for some really good shows going forward.
And I think that's where we went wrong last week in doing some of the research and doing some of the data pulling was we were trying to lean on the road courses so heavily, but this was such a totally different thing with how high speed those corners were and how tight they were as well. It was a totally different sport within the sport of NASCAR, which was cool to see, Elliot.
Yeah, the best part was they were able to put the event on. It was a great show. They brought in new NASCAR fans, and despite the opinions of some people, include reason are still on big podcasts, even though they're not actually still spotters. Won't name any names there, but the event was a success despite the naysayers. And that was what was most fun, even if our betting cards didn't quite look the way we wanted them to.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're down 7 units after. That was our biggest loss of the season by far. So we're gonna try to pick it up here at Atlanta, but we got to play smart. We can't get on tilt, and that's what I want to remind everyone out there. Let's not get on tilt. Let's just keep it in check. We said last weekend, keep your head on a fucking swivel. This week, maybe just lay your head down. Maybe just take a nice little nap throughout this race and through the betting portion as well. We got James in the comment. He was ready to go. This was 8 minutes before the show. Or no, this was 28 minutes before the show, 8:02 p.m. James, we appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you being early. Elliot, what do you say, though, man? Can we close the book on what was maybe one of the most memorable races in NASCAR history and move forward back to Atlanta?
Yep, we'll close the book on the history, but we'll keep the chaos book open as we look ahead to Atlanta and the horizon forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So part of the nice part is, super speedways are very unpredictable, but we've had enough races here with the next gen car at the new Atlanta, so to speak, that we kind of know how things are going to behave and we know what to expect now, which at least is some solace in the chaos that we kind of have some idea of what could happen.
You do, but do you ever really? Do you ever really? Like I think
we didn't, when it was brand new with these cars and everything, we weren't sure how they were going to race or what that kind of deal was. Now it's like Daytona and Talladega. You got the trends. You got some guys who are better here than some of the other super speedways. There's a little more to lean on, even if it's just the rusty old barn fence that's going to fall over right away. It's at least something you can lean on for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We can now classify it as a super speedway. I think we could not do that even coming back here in the spring. There was that huge discussion. Is it a super speedway? Is it a mile and a half? I think we can classify this as a shorter super speedway. So we can look at some comps. Actually, we can look back at 2022 Atlanta, the first, the second race, and the spring race here as well. And we can comp these Talladegas and Daytonas from this season as well. Rod, anything else that you're really looking at as we come to Atlanta here? Because I kind of have to throw the Atlanta history book outside of 2022 out the window for me.
Yeah, you can't factor any of that in. It was obviously a much, much different track than it is now. Now, maybe you can say that there's familiarity in Atlanta proper and whatever, but I don't think you can lean on that with any sort of reliability. So, yeah, I think the only thing you could do is just take a look at what has happened since they repaved that or redid this whole track. And then, of course, like you said, throwing some Talladegas, throwing some Daytonas. But even then, those aren't necessarily as comparable as they can be. It's pack racing, but they get up to speed a lot. It takes a lot longer for them to get up to speed. There's a lot more speed in that. Like Atlanta, it happens all so fast. And so I think the only real comp track that you can pull is itself. So that's really the only data I kind of looked at and how they finished here since the repaving.
That's definitely a fair point. Honestly, though, I'm going to factor in these other two super speedways a little bit more because even though there's differences there, they're not giant airport runways on the back like Daytona and Talladega are. But generally, it's been the people who find themselves up front at the super speedways that also run well at Atlanta. So I totally get that. It's a lot different than Daytona and Talladega, and you definitely can't have the old Atlanta. Take that data if you feel like it and sprinkle it in when we go to a Kansas or a Texas or some of those other traditional mile and a halves, but definitely useless for the new modern Atlanta with the next gen car.
Yeah, and something to note here as well, boys, something new coming to Atlanta this week. We do have the pit road changes under green sections 1 and 2. Those are located around turns 3 and 4. Those are going to be down to 90 miles per or up to 90 miles per hour now. We saw a lot of speeding here in the spring. I expect less of that with this roll, Rod.
Yeah, and that's going to be something that they have to get used to in practice as well. So hopefully they get the hang of that because, a lot of it, they get used to it. They get in a rhythm and they get used to certain things. And maybe this will actually give a little more buffer to where they don't have to worry about it so much. But I don't know, man. You change these things. You change things on a driver last minute, and you're bound to get a lot of craziness that happens.
Yeah, but I remember in the spring they extended the pit road back, but kept it 45 miles an hour all the way around, which they still will do under caution. But under green flag, it'll help you out, keep you up to speed a little bit. And if you do happen to mess up and get a pit road penalty, you only go a lap and a half down instead of 2 laps down.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge, honestly, man. And again, if you're gonna do something stupid, do it early. That's what we want here at Atlanta. You got some time to bounce back here, 400 miles. Elliot, what do you think? Should we look ahead now?
May as well. Let's get a little more driver specific and pick our favorites this week in the tire tiers. So as we head into Atlanta, it's our traditional 36 chartered cars, as well as the Beard Motorsports number 62 of Austin Hill. We've got some other driver changes as well. In the 51, it's going to be Cole Custer coming back up from the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, cool.
JJ Yaley, your boy, is in the 15 car for Rick Ware.
All right, JJ.
And our boy BJ McLeod is back in that number 78 car.
Man, can we get the Project 91 at Atlanta in the next couple of years? I think that would be cool. I think I would like that. At least be one of these guys I would really be looking forward to playing.
Get some of these old super speedway ringers. There was an old chart that I brought up. I misclicked the link earlier in my data where it had Jamie McMurray at the top of speed charts for super speedways. Could be a nice little deal to get him, or if it weren't for the health, get Dale Jr. back in a car for some of these super speedways. That'd be real fun. But alas, we just got these guys this week. Rod, where do we want to start for our driver ace?
Let's start at the beginning. Number 1, throw up Ross Chastain, Trackhouse Racing, 2 wins in a row so far. Ross Chastain has not actually been bad at Atlanta since the repave. Last season, earlier this year, he did finish in 13th, but he led 5 laps in that, so he was a fast car. Here's the thing about earlier this season, though. Ross Chastain was really erratic. He was getting spanked all over the place by team owners, by everybody on the track that hated him. And I think they belabored this point the other day when he won the race. He was racing a lot smarter, and maybe a smart Ross Chastain is actually somebody who we should fear going forward, because if he's smarter and he's got the talent to do this, then I think he's going to be dangerous. And at $9,400 for DK, look, he's finished in second place in both the spring of 2022 and the fall of 2022. He was runner-up in both of those races. Maybe, just maybe, he's in a headspace where he can kind of do a good job here and another second place finish. Maybe he will win the race. Maybe he'll lead more laps. Who knows? But I still think he's in for a solid DFS day for Ross Chastain. And I like the fact that he's not overinflated his price. He's a top tier driver that's not necessarily as expensive as some of these other top tier guys.
Back on the Ross train. Let's go, Rod. Total 360 from just a couple of weeks ago, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, the win at Nashville changed everything for the Chastain, and him finishing second is good for this narrative because I've got the winner right here. I've got him picked out. He's going in the A's. It's the 6-car Brad Keselowski. He was this close at Atlanta earlier. The Super Speedway program has been built up, and Keselowski is still one of the best Super Speedway drivers out there. This is the week RFK and Brad Keselowski get it done.
Man, I want to throw it on Brad. I know it's going to be chalky as hell. I think that's the thing. Like he's not going to be a differential person in your lineup. He's not going to give you a little bit of leverage, but I do like Brad, especially at that price tag there, Elliot. Guys, throw him on the board. Kyle Busch, man. Kyle Busch, we've faded at times this season, and he continues to prove us wrong. This is the guy who just won at Dega last time we were on one of these tracks, man. And this is also a guy who has 5 straight top 10 finishes right now. It doesn't matter what track we're at. Kyle Busch finds a way to make sure, even if he makes a mistake early in the race, that he's in it to win it at the end. So I like Kyle Busch here, especially now that we're not going to have that pit road speeding issue probably as much as well. So I have a little more confidence in Rowdy. Give me the favorite this week.
Yeah, that's actually, it's pretty funny that he can't speed. He can't speed on pit road when there's no speeding on pit road, right? That's the thing. All right. So do I throw Chase Elliott in the mix? I mean, I know that he's expensive. Go ahead and put that 9 car up there. I know it hurts, but it's a super speedway, right? And if we're playing into narratives that we don't necessarily know what's going to happen, why not pick one of the best drivers in the circuit? Yeah, he got jacked a little bit. Yeah, he's had a rough go of it. But look, this Atlanta reconfiguration has kind of been his playground. He finished 6th place earlier in the spring in the first one, and then he won the last one. Obviously didn't take place in the one earlier this season because he was injured. But, I mean, I said it last week in Chicago, and it almost played out. Not really, but Elliot needs a win. He needs a win. And road courses and super speedways are probably his best chance right now because he's not looking good on intermediates and in any short tracks. So he's got to get it done here. And I think this is where the 9 team kind of pours all of their resources and trying to get him that win to try to get him back into victory lane. So like I said, I know he's expensive. I don't think he'll be chalky though, because I think a lot of people are going to have the same reaction that you guys had. It's like, but you know, you got to play him this week, I think.
He's leveraged for sure. I'm off him. I tried playing him last week and it just bit me in the ass. I mean, he did finish top 5. He did score us that T5 ticket, but outside of that, yeah, I think I'm back off Chase Elliott this week. Elliot, how do you feel about the number 9 and who else belongs in this top tier?
Yeah, and keep in mind last week with Chase Elliott that he only got up there because they had the field flip after the whole Bowman and Hamlin situation. He wasn't running that well the entire race. Of course, SVG, it didn't matter where you put him. He was getting up to the front, but it didn't matter. So I said I'm going to go sort of super speedways overall rather than just Atlanta. And I've been on the Fords lately way more than you guys have. It hasn't quite bit me completely yet, but I'm going to throw the number 12 of Ryan Blaney up here. Pulling up this chart from driveraverages.com. Best average finishes on speedways like Atlanta, super speedways. Really good driver rating. He's got the wins here. And, you know, the Ford camp and Ryan Blaney feeling real good. Got the monkey off his back from that winless streak a few weeks ago. Could easily see him ripping out another one here at Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah. I'm back on the Fords this week as well a little bit. So put Logano back up there as well. His teammate. This is a guy who just won this race. And I feel like he's being a little bit undervalued here, falling all the way back to the top tier. He also had a top 10 at this configuration of Hot Atlanta going back to last spring as well. So I think Joey Logano is going to be a threat to potentially win this one once again. It's 10-1. That's what you're paying for him, but I'm comfortable at that price for a guy who we know can get it done.
Yeah, Joey Logano, I'm surprised he didn't win Chicago. He wins everything that's new.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't.
Hey, that's why I was so high on him last week. Didn't work out.
Okay, I think we could drop down to the B's unless you guys had anybody for A. Anybody left in the A's?
No, thank you.
All right, that's fine. Let's go to Ty Gibbs in the B. $7,600 for the B driver. But here's Ty Gibbs, man. Like, he has been one of those. We know what he's going to be in the future, right? We know that he's going to be just one of the juggernauts of the sport in the future. But right now, he's putting together a pretty good resume. Earlier this year, he actually finished 9th on this track. His first go at this as a Cup driver. To finish 9th on a track like this with all of the sharks that are out there for a guy who, was a dominant Xfinity driver as well. I think he's been fairly solid enough to where you could start considering him in this upper echelon. And I don't think DK has caught up to the fact that he is as solid of a driver as he is. He fell in a little bit of a slump lately, right? I mean, but that's why you're getting him at the price you're getting him at now. And I think it's an absolute steal to get him at $7,600 this week.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick there. Ty Gibbs definitely pretty solid. Last week I went with a lot of kind of off the radar guys with my early picks. I could go here, but I'm going to go more traditional and put the 24 William Byron up here. I think it's a tier B because the price is a little overinflated. I think at $9,500. He's not a big time super speedway guy, but Byron is definitely having a career year. It's been a while since he's won, however many weeks, but he's got the most wins this year with Kyle Busch, or he's up there at least. And either way, the 24 car running up front would be the ultimate way to kind of cast off the chaos. Maybe you got some chaos in the top 10, but a Hendrick car in victory lane is almost the opposite of chaos in the Cup Series.
Yeah, and he was pretty quick at Atlanta the first time we went. He had some bad luck, I think. He was in the asterisk mark over there. I fantasy race on that report there. So, yeah, I don't mind William Byron there. I'm going to get weird. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go 7,900. I'm going to put a guy up there who he is one of the best on super speedways, and I don't think it's close. And the books and DraftKings and Fantrax, all these platforms are not recognizing it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he is one of the few drivers who you look back at all these Atlantas, all these super speedways since 2022, and he has four out of the 5 of those races have been inside the top 10 of total speed ranking. So I think he's going to be dead fast this week. And Brad Daugherty, That dude's sweet. Like, I didn't realize how sweet that dude was. Like, him on the call last week, kind of getting us through some of those delays. Like, he was sweet. I'm a fan, honestly, of that team now. So yeah, fire me up some number 47 car here.
I will stay. I'm going to go with the other Trackhouse guy. In fact, I'll stay in B and I'll go with the other Trackhouse driver, 99 of Daniel Suarez. A 4th place finish in the spring here of 2022, a 6th place finish in the fall of 2022. This last time around, he finished 29th in the spring earlier, but he got caught up in a wreck, couldn't fix his car back again. He was running in the top 10 at the end of stage 1. So a good solid driver, and he's only $7,200. Like, again, Daniel Suarez has been able to find success here in spurts. And I think, with Trackhouse being as good as they are, to have him as a $7,200 driver, I think there's going to be a lot of people that almost like what was I talking about earlier? A guy that's people are going to be off of because they don't like Chase Elliott, because they don't see consistent finishes. But you dig onto the surface a little bit, and Suarez can hold his own, and I think he's going to do it this week in Atlanta.
No doubt about it. Sneaky pick there. I'll go with another kind of obvious super speedway guy that I think will be pretty chalky because he's on a hot streak. Denny Hamlin, of course, won the pole, ended up finishing pretty well, or ended up running fairly well at times in Chicago. He's a guy that's always up front at these super speedways. He's won 1 million Daytona 500s. He's always at the front. The price at 9,900, maybe just a teensy bit high. I don't know that you're going to get a lot of differential there. You're looking for a guy who's going to end up in the top 5 unless he gets caught up in somebody else's mess. It's Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, man, Hamlin's been a lot better these last couple of weeks. He's been someone to kind of ride that hot hand, so I don't mind that pick at all here, Elliot. All right, I'm gonna go with Chris Bell. It is risky right now at 9,200, boys. It is risky. Chris Bell has not had a top 5 since his win at the dirt track, so it's getting ballsy here. But you look back at Atlanta, who was one of the best drivers the last couple of times we've been there? It's been Chris Bell. He was just on a rocket ship last time we were here. Top 5 finish for him. I think he could get it done once again here at Atlanta. So at that price tag, sign me up for the number 20. It's never that much fun. He's a hard one to get right for me, but I'll take the shot this week.
I will take a shot on the 45 car. Give me Tyler Reddick. I'm debating on whether or not he should be in the B's or the C's. What do you think? Let's put him in the B. Let's put him as a B-. I think he's a B- driver. He finished 5th here in the spring in this new 45 ride. Tough go of it in the last couple, the first go around in the 8 car where he finished 28th and 29th, but he crashed out in both of those. But he did start 5th and 4th, which means he had speed here in qualifying, so he can get around this track. And this spring rather, he actually turned that into a good finish, a 16th place start into a 5th place finish. I think Tyler Reddick is slowly creeping back up again into somebody that we need to pay attention to. And once again, he's not really all that expensive for what his potential is. He's $8,500. So I think this is the week to take a stab on that 45 car.
Not a bad pick there for sure. Again, what's fun part about super speedways is I feel like I can go a lot of different ways here. And I think I'm even going to alter my pick from what I was going to leading into that. You going with Reddick. I'm going to put the other 2311 car, Bubba Wallace, but I'll put him in the C's just because I feel like he's a guy who can get caught up in chaos pretty easily. When it comes to the super speedways, Bubba Wallace and 2311 usually run pretty well. And it wouldn't surprise me for the 23 to be up there again. Fairly high up in the so some bad luck here. He's toward the bottom of this chart here. This is the first time I've used this site, but so I'll go stick with the gut feeling here with the 23 to be a nice little C+ driver for this week.
Yeah, Atlanta's usually one of his worst super speedways, but he still does have the speed that he'll be able to get up there and I think contend at some point in this race. It's just, can he hold it together? That is the question for Bubba Wallace. Let's just do some housekeeping, guys. Let's throw the 5. Let's throw the 19 up there. I think they both belong here. Really hard to bet or to throw Kyle Larson in DFS lines at super speedways. We know the history isn't great. However, he is in a good ride. Let's not forget that. And then the number 19 car. Guy's still been pretty hot. He cooled off last week. I mean, it seemed like every time you turned on the TV, Martin Truex Jr. was getting in a wall or something at Chicago. But this is still a guy who's been putting on a clinic this year. 45.5 DraftKings points per contest. I mean, that's as good as it gets right now, and you're getting him at 8,800. I think that's a little bit of a value despite, I mean, I think he's a top 15 car this week, maybe. I don't expect much more from him.
Yeah, and for me, Kyle Larson, you could put the 48 up there as well of Alex Bowman. It's a tough go for him as well. Just I don't know what it is about that 48 car. Maybe it's because I'm a Jimmy Johnson fan and I love to see the 48 car do well, but it's not been in victory lane in a very long time. In Atlanta, it's a 10th place finish in the spring of 2022, 32nd in the fall, but he did bounce back for a 14th place finish. Alex Bowman's salary for this week is, sorry, I have to scroll pretty far down in there to get to his salary. Where is he?
$8,100.
Yeah. So it's not bad. He is averaging 32 points per race. So not a bad average for a C driver, but again, it's a super speedway. Who the hell knows? He could pilot his way to the top and outlast everybody.
Yeah. And keep in mind that 32nd or wherever he was in the midsummer race last year, started up front, was running in the top 5 to 6 consistently. Last lap of stage 2, blows a tire, hits the fence, wrecks that nice little superhero car that they were running that week. Atlanta's been the better of the super speedways for Bowman. Just a matter if he can shake the bad luck Bowman that's starting to creep in again as the summertime hits, which is
every fucking year.
So
I mean,
every summer.
This year it's a little more warranted. He is just coming back from an injury, but yeah, every fucking year. I wish I could bet on that happening.
Yeah, right. Bet on Bowman not getting a top 10 for 6 weeks straight. And we're probably in the midst of that here. But that's why he's in the C this week. Normally I'd put him in the Bs or I'd get to him before you guys do. Okay, so this one I'll go a little off the map here, but I think it's warranted. Atlanta's probably this driver's best track, and it's Corey LaJoie.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Nearly got the win last year. Ended up putting in the fence on the last lap or coming to 2 to go or something like that. I think the 7 car knows this is their shot. Daytona, you have a lot more chaos and a lot more guys that are going to try to win. Already couldn't make it happen at the 500 or Talladega or in the spring Atlanta, but I think he ran well in spring Atlanta. I should have had those stats in front of me. But in any case, LaJoie, the price is still decent at 6,500. He's still down there, a little higher than normal, obviously because of the pedigree here, but still low enough that I think a C, probably C plus is a slam dunk here for a guy who's going to run up front. And again, obviously more liable to getting caught in chaos or being the creation of the chaos going forward at the end. But this is the best shot the 7 car has to make it in the playoffs. So they're going to go balls to the wall to do it.
Yeah, I don't mind the call at all. That's exactly where I wanted to go. Let's not forget 4th here in the spring, man. This guy loves Atlanta, so I'm excited to see what Corey LaJoie can do. Go ahead, throw Kevin Harvick on there. I can't believe he made it this far. He belongs in this tier, absolutely. 7,800 for Kevin Harvick. I never thought I would hear those words come out of my mouth.
Yeah, Harvick below guys like Stenhouse, Bowman, and Chris Busch.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. So I think at 7,800, you're getting a guy averaging over 35 DraftKings points per race. It's okay. I don't think he's going to be much more, again, top 15, top 20 car. But Fords have been good at Atlanta, so maybe there's a little bit of something to that. Rod, how do you feel about the number 4 and back to you?
It's funny because I haven't brought him up, and on a super speedway, I said last week too, I was like, this is not a race that Kevin Harvick is going to want to put all of his effort into because this is a one-off for him. He's never going to do it again. I'm sure he would like to just get laps so that they talk about it next time. So, that's the only reason why I didn't put Kevin Harvick on there. It seems like now as the race count starts to ticker down, so does his involvement and his enthusiasm toward it. So I'm going to stay away from Kevin for a little while now. But you could put the 43 up there. Eric Jones.
Yes.
I know. Legacy is suffering by all rights and accounts, and it's just a very rough season for them. But Eric Jones, I feel like if anybody can break the doldrums, it's going to be him. He's got 2 top 10 finishes in his last 2 races here. In fact, an 8th place in the spring and a 4th place last fall. Not bad. But what's even more important is in this configuration, his potential for fantasy value, right? In the spring of 2022, he started 23rd, finished 14th. There's some place differential for you.
Yes.
In 2022 in the fall, 25th place to a 4th place finish. That's a lot of place differential. And then in the spring, 28th place start to an 8th place finish. That is a ton of place differential points for you. And for his price, what Eric Jones is $7,000. If you can get that type of point differential from him, you are going to be one happy camper. In the last 2 races, actually, he's done that as well. Nashville, 23rd, 8th place finish. Chicago, 21st, 16th place finish. So not bad for Eric Jones.
Yeah, I like that call a lot. If you guys remember, we were riding that top 10 ticket on him at Atlanta in the spring, and then he made that crazy charge to the front towards the end of the race. So Eric Jones here. I love the call, Rod. Elliot, what do you have here for us? Because I still think like we're still kind of in this C tier. I think there's still some solid drivers for our lineups.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a nice long C tier this week, and I'm going to add Chris Buescher to it in the 17. That runs lately, had the top 10 at the street course, pretty well in total speed ranking at Atlanta in the spring. Looks like iFantasy Race here splits it up into 4 different race segments, even though it's not 4 stages. And I see Buescher in segment number 2 was the fastest car there was. If memory comes to serve, did he win a stage there, or am I making that up? Again, another number I probably should.
I don't think he won a stage there. I think he just won his first stage. But Buescher was fast. Him and Brad both were very fast at times at Atlanta. So yeah, absolutely. I love Buescher here.
In the spring race, he finished in 8th at stage 1 and 7th in stage 2. So he was up in the top 10 both times.
Gotcha. So consistent enough stage points. Regardless, gonna run well enough. Probably shouldn't even be in the C's, but that's the thing about super speedways is guys who look good can still be, the 20th driver on the board, because super speedways just have so many different wonderful possibilities for our betting cards, don't they?
Yeah, guys, go ahead. Yeah, let's round out. Maybe there's some more here, but Justin Haley, he belongs in C tier this week. And talk about DraftKings best kept secret. It's Justin Haley right now, man. It was Corey LaJoie. They've kind of caught up with him, especially here at Atlanta. But Justin Haley, 5,800, still averaging over 30 DraftKings points per race. Obviously, that second place finish adds to it. But man, like this kid is a really good driver. And I think we forget about that at times. We got delighted at Chicago that he happened to be in the front when that pit cycle kind of cycled out. And I think he's hungry, man. And I think he showed a lot and qualified 4th at Nashville the week prior. And he actually has a pretty decent super speedway resume as well. I'll talk more about that later, but I like Justin Haley this week. At the price you're getting him, he'll be in all my lineups.
I concur. One for the D, and then I think I'm good because I don't know that I want to make a case for anybody else, especially for Noah Gragson, because there's turn 6 in this racetrack that's about to keep him alive.
There's no turn 6 in Atlanta. Yeah, so
he'll make one. He'll make one. But yeah, put Cole Custer up on the board. 51 in the D. We talked a little bit about him. You teased him before we got up there. I'm telling you, Cole Custer is now he won the Chicago shortened race, the Xfinity. He finally got his first win in the Xfinity race. And what did he get rewarded with? A trip to the Cup Series in Atlanta in that Rick Ware car. Okay, it's a Rick Ware car. We always poo-poo them all over the place every single week. But I feel like this might be an instance in which you can get some serious value out of a Cole Custer. He is $5,600, obviously making his first Cup start of this season. But look, he's hungry again, right? He's getting a chance to do what he wanted to do and come back up into Cup. His Xfinity Series has got one race in this new configuration, and he finished 12th in it. So we're not even asking him to get to the top 10. If he starts toward the rear, if he gets a 15th place finish, top 20, he pays off your ridiculously low price tag. And I think Cole Custer is going to be cautious enough to stay out of trouble and try to get as many places as he can and a good finish for that 51 car. So give me Cole Custer this week.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Doesn't have to necessarily run up front, but man, just betting on a Ware car. Still tough, even though they've been better this year. We've seen some good runs out of guys like Haley, but still tough for me.
I'm in, baby. I'm in on the Custer this week. I absolutely am, Rod. I love the nut sack on you, man, to make that call. So, Elliot, who else are you considering for D? Because I have an appetite for a little bit. There's still a little bit on the board that I'm interested in. What about yourself, Mr. Hicks?
Yeah, I went ahead and hovered over my guy. Sorry if my connection's a little slow tonight, everybody. Thanks for bearing with. But regardless, again, Austin Cindric is a guy that oftentimes that we're a little bit hands-off on just because the consistency hasn't been there. And we're expecting a Penske car and a guy of Cindric's caliber to just run better. But I think, honestly, a guy who we thought was going to be perhaps the jack of all trades or a big road course guy, I think is becoming more of a super speedway pull. He's got the Daytona 500 win. We see him up front more often than not. And he was tops in speed rank earlier this year in Atlanta. Again, we have the data from this season. Cindric, again, I almost group him in with LaJoy in that this team, this may be about their only chance to win in the playoffs. So they really got to go for it here.
Man, fuck Austin Cindric. That guy, I faded him in so many matchups last week. I had so much money. And before that, the pit stops happened and all that stuff, all my matchups were winning against Austin Cindric. He cycles out into the top 10 and I lose 3 matchups on him. So great call, Elliot, but fuck Austin Cindric. Moving forward, though, can we get some AJ Allmendinger on the board? He ran pretty well here last time out. He's been very consistent as of late. I know he kind of had some bad luck last week getting shuffled to the back, but I still like Dinger this week. I like both the colleague boys. And I guess you can throw Harrison Burton up there, too. I think Harrison Burton might have a little bit of speed here. He's like slowly, I feel like, growing up, man. I feel like Harrison Burton's slowly growing up. Hasn't had the best runs here, but I think at the price tag you're getting him, we've seen him be fast at super speedways before, Daytona 2022 and other times as well. So he'll be in the mix. Can he hold it together? That's the question we asked with Bubba Wallace. That's the question we have to ask with Harrison Burton here as well.
Yeah, I don't know. This is getting to the part where I'm really like, because even on a super speedway, you always say, oh, well, what about Michael McDowell? Well, this track has not been good to Michael McDowell over the last couple of seasons. So I'm not even comfortable throwing his name out there. So, I mean, Elliot, I feel like this is the part where you can just kind of clean up the scraps. I feel like it. Seth, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like F, maybe we can throw Austin Dillon there. Austin Dillon.
I was leaning Austin Dillon as well, just because of the super speedway factor that we've seen him do it before.
Yeah. I mean, he got 20th here in the spring. Like, you could be worse, but he's not going to have much differential. But outside of that, like, Ellie, you could probably make the case for 1 or 2 other people to throw them in F or D. But Eric Almirola, throw him in F. He's been terrible at this track, but you know, but you know, he is a good driver. So yeah,
that's right. We got to throw somebody in the Fs. You know, the last couple weeks, if you haven't seen over on In Between Media, we've taken our tier list and expanded a little bit on a few of those drivers in an article. So if you haven't checked out on that yet, be on the lookout for that in the next coming days. So we need to fill the Fs because we got to write for something about him. I will throw one more guy up here. I'll throw the 62.
Ew.
Austin Hill, decent super speedway guy. He's going to be hungry to get back up there. He missed the Daytona 500. I think they had to pull out of a race. I think they were going to run him in Cup for Chicago, but then that was before they handed out the rule you can't run in both the Xfinity and the Cup race. So they pulled out of that. He's a guy who'll be hungry. He's a guy who might qualify 35th and finish 15th. And kind of like Cole Custer, it's the differential points that are getting you here. It's not necessarily a chance at a win.
And he's going to run the race before, so he's going to be
probably going to win the race before too, the way that he runs on Xfinity super speedways.
Exactly.
I do a lot of shit before I'd bet on Beard Motorsports or put them in a lineup. 100%. That's a sketchy organization. I think that's a money laundering.
Hey, you remember a couple years ago, Brendan Gaughan was out front at Talladega.
Yeah. I think that's a money laundering scheme now. Honestly, I'm good on the Beard Motorsports experience. But yeah, I think that's tire tiers though, Elliot. What else do you have to say on the rest of them?
Honest to God, I mean, Briscoe and Priest, SHR were just hands off. JJ Yaley, I'm surprised no Yaley love, Seth. What the hell is this?
Actually, Yaley ran pretty good. Oh no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Sorry, that was he was not in the 51 that day.
He ran to the track. That's what he must have ran really well to the track.
Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm good on JJ. Michael McDowell, can we have some respect for the guy? Like, he belongs in F, right?
I don't know.
Sure. Not boy Gilliland. F for him or off the board?
I don't think I want Gilly. Actually, no. Yeah, he was 15th here in the spring. Yeah, put him on the board.
All right, Gilliland's in the Fs.
Rod just hates this so much. Rod's like, I'm not playing any of these guys.
That's what the F is for. That's what the F is for the most part. Is just these guys. They're at least worth mentioning, but they're really not worth playing.
Ryan Priest sucks. He doesn't have a top 10 yet. Like he's really screwing himself over. We've been big Ryan Priest fans too, and he's just not making the most of this opportunity.
Well, I don't think it's him. I think the cars suck at Stewart-Haas.
I mean, yeah, but we've seen Kevin Harvick,
Kevin Harvick's been in the Cup Series since we were toddlers, Seth.
Yeah,
He
but at
knows how
least
shit
Chase
works.
Briscoe and I think Almirola, they at least have a top 10. That's all I'm saying. He's like the last full-time Cup driver to not have a top 10, I'm pretty sure. So that's
Right.
why I'm singling him out. But Gragson sucks. Ty Dillon sucks. Who's in the 78? Is it Balicki?
This is BJ McLeod.
BJ McLeod finally again.
BJ McLeod sucks less than some other people, but he still sucks.
Yeah, totally fair there. But hey,
I tell you what,
every driver on the board. So there we go.
if Noah Gragson buys me a Baconator or 6, I'll get back on his wagon. I want some Baconators from him.
The Wendy sponsorship's dope. I'll be honest. Like, I love the Wendy sponsorship. Like, have they been a sponsor very long? Because, like, I don't remember them being in the Cup Series for at least, like, most of the time I've been watching racing, I feel like.
I don't think so. I don't remember them being heavy in it.
He needs to do better. You got Wendy's behind you, man. Come on. You got the Baconator and the Frosty.
Yeah, they did sponsor him a couple years ago when he was still in the 62, or was that last year, I guess. But yeah, they haven't been around all that long. But good for him for getting the big market. But you know, maybe he looks good in that bacon bucket hat, but he didn't look good in turn 6 last week. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, I think this closes the door on DFS. We do have a couple bets to throw out there. Again, this is our week. Let's have fun with it. But let's not get crazy because this is one that my unit allocation very low compared to usual. And I think we're that way across the board, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. We said it too in the NASCAR gambling podcast. Don't go heavy on this. Bet on people you want to root for and sit back and enjoy the race. And hopefully some of them hit. Expect to lose all the bets that you place, and when you win some, you'll be even happier for it.
Yeah, this is definitely not the week to recoup your losses from Chicago. We got a few of those coming up, but this is another one where you're going to throw out some crazy ones, perhaps.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we are going to be throwing out over here in Parking Garage Props.
Well, usually we lead off with our impressions of the books, but we've kind of already given them, you know, Super Speedway week, usually pretty hands-off, usually not a lot of value there, but hey, we still picked out a couple for you guys, you know?
Yeah, it was dog shit, honestly. Like, at least, like, I was hoping I'd be tempted by something. There wasn't a lot. I think there is some value on the board down lower. That's how I'm going to kind of be approaching this tonight, guys. I'm going to be taking some longer shots and see if I can't win back some of that Chicago money. But, again, very, very low unit allocation. A lot of these bets won't even be for a full unit, honestly, tonight, guys.
Yeah, and really the value is suppressed by the fact that it is a super speedway, and but it's not even as suppressed as it was. I think even in the spring, honestly, the books have like, yeah, we probably shouldn't be giving away all those crazy odds, and there's no opportunities for you to parlay top tens. I know the books learned from that lesson earlier, giving away $1 million to do that, so you can't really parlay any good things to make it more in your favor. So this is more about, like we said, just betting on people you want to root for, betting on stuff you want to have some fun with.
And I would love to get the top 20 market back. That was really fun. I think we saw that at Dega last time. And I liked it. I liked having that top 20 market. And that's something I would be more interested in betting this week if we had that, but we do not. So let's move to the outrights. Let's start right there, guys. Elliot, you have been hot lately, man. You've kind of been I passed the torch to you, the outright torch. You shouted out SVG last week. You were also on Ross the week before. So what do you have for us this week?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm actually going to put some coin down on these outrights because I had Chastain, bet 0 on him. I briefly mentioned SVG, maybe he'll have a shot, put 0 on him. So I have a few names out here. I don't know which one yet. I haven't figured out, but I will put some coin on one of these guys. First off, I did see an odds boost on Caesars to put Ross Chastain at a plus 1,700, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know how confident we are in him. He was the top driver in the tiers, but Chastain, still a bit of a loose cannon. Brad Keselowski,
I think that's great value. I think that's great value. 17-1 for Ross, a guy who got second here last year in the spring and then came around and had a really good run in the fall as well, finishing second. I think, Rod, you love him as well.
Well, and that's where my outright's going. And I'll tell you right now, if it's at 1,700 on a boost, earlier this week we had him at 25-1. So that means the public is betting him down, which means you probably, if you believe in Chastain, need to scoop him up right now because that price is probably going to fall as we get later into the week.
Yeah, that might be a good move. I'm going to pick up that 17-1 then, because I saw even SVG, we had him at plus 5,000, and he was down to even like race, or definitely race morning, but he went way down.
He was
down,
10 to
down,
1
down.
race morning, I think a lot of places. Yeah.
Well, they caught up on him pretty quick. Brett Keselowski, probably my favorite outright here. I'm high on the 6, but he's only at plus 1,400. Obviously, one of the favorites. You're not going to get that much value, but still, I mean, better than Chase Elliott, who I have on the board, is plus 1,000. I don't think that's probably worth betting here, considering Chase. We've had Chase for a couple of years there. Big super speedway guy, getting some wins there. Of course, this is home track down in Georgia, and a big road course guy, and it just hasn't been the same this year. So, I mean, if he ends up pulling off a win, great. The books are on it, but I think they're still overvaluing Chase a little bit. The other two I have here, Corey LaJoie at plus 2,500. That's iffy. Justin Haley plus 5,000. I kind of like that one a little more. Colleagues getting hot. Justin Haley, there goes big confidence boost in that team now with the second place finish last week. Haley plus 5,000. Maybe worth a shot there if you want your long shot. Plus 5,000 one last week.
Yeah, 50 to 1 for Haley. I'm in on it. That's going to be something I'm adding to my card this week. And we already talked about it. Guys getting a little bit better, qualified 4th at Nash, had a good run last week. And what has he done at super speedways for us? Well, 13th fastest car at the Daytona 500, finished 4th fastest at Dega, 25th at Atlanta. So that was like the one thing. He wasn't very good at Atlanta this year, but he did have a top 5 car in speed ranking by the end of it. And go back to Atlanta 2 of 2022, and he actually finished 7th and had top 7 speed in that race as well. And going back to Atlanta 1 of 2022, finished 11th in that. So he's actually been pretty good here at Atlanta. At least he was in 2022. And I think overall, I mean, this is a guy, it was kind of a cheapo win, but he has this win on a super speedway. So I think that now is the time to ride Justin Haley's hot hand. So I'm going to get down on it at 50 to 1. Not a full unit, but I'm going to throw down half a unit on it and let it ride here. Rod, any thoughts on the irrational love for the number 31 car this week?
Well, listen, I can't even mock you on this because I tossed out a 66 to 1 on Cole Custer. Just because if we're going to prep for chaos, we might as well fully embrace it. So if a 31 car can make it up front, quite possibly a 51 can as well. So, and Justin Haley, again, he was earlier in the season, especially during the Busch clash. Like, he was a name that we tossed out a lot too, and was excited for. And he just peeks his head out in fits and spurts. And, super speedway is a perfect place for a guy like him to get a win. So I can't mock you on it. Cause like I said, I gave out a 66 to 1 on the 51. So
yeah. And Rod, it sounds like you're down on Chastain, and you're also down on the number 150 or the number 51 cars. Is there anyone else that you're considering right now for outrights?
Again, it's just one of those weeks where I don't want to go heavy on outrights because it could change in a heartbeat.
Yeah. The last one I have here that I want to throw out to the betting public here is Ricky Stenhouse, 30 to 1. That's the other outright, the second one I'm adding to my card this week. You can get that at Caesars, at Barstool. I'm also going to be making sure I'm hedging that with a top 10 of plus 175. And when I looked at the data, boys, like, this is where it led me, is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Looking at total speed rankings, again, shout out Ryan over there at iFantasy Racing for providing those. Number 3 at Daytona, number 2 at Dega, number 7 at Atlanta, led 7 laps there. And then also number 3 at Atlanta 1 last year. He's been really good at all these super speedways other than Atlanta 2 last year. I don't know what kind of issue he had going on, but finished 32nd that day. So I think you're getting a crazy price on a guy who's been really hot at super speedways, also 14th fastest year to date in those total speed rankings as well. So I'm going to be invested in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. It's crazy. You're going to be sweating it out till the very end with him. But I'm going to ride that number 47. Let's go, Brad, baby. Let's go, Brad Daughtry. Love that guy.
All right. Any top 5s, top 10s you guys want to pick out here?
Ooh, I think outside, I have a top 10 on Haley. I have a top 10 on Stenhouse. And I think that's all I have for placement props here. Rod, anything from you?
Seth, are you glossing over one of the ones that you've got in the doc? I see one that intrigues me the most, and it's a parlay that Caesars is giving the boost.
I think that's Elliot, actually.
Is that Elliot? Is that you, Elliot?
I'll have the odds boost plus 750 on both Bell and Logano in the top 5. That's what you're thinking of?
No. I'm talking about the Verstappen and the F1.
Oh, yeah. Odds boost. I put that one up on the top there. Yeah. So I brought this one up. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? yeah, I mean, it's nice that they're able to parlay these multiple racing series, and it's crazy that they're giving us the odds on this guy is absolutely going to win the F1 race as the big parlay. Like you would think it's like you go with whoever the next guy below Verstappen is. The Red Bull guy is George something or other.
Perez,
Lewis
Sergio
Hamilton.
Perez.
Sergio Perez. Oh, George. What the hell is my mind?
Well, George Russell's a Mercedes driver, and he does drive.
Okay, so there is a George. I'm not too crazy. All right. You can tell how much we watch F1 here, right, Seth? But yeah, Verstappen winning the British F1 Grand Prix and Ryan Blaney winning Atlanta, which is a guy who I put up in my tier A, plus 1,800. So that's more of an outright. I forgot to bring that one up because I have the nice little bold outrights, but then I have that above outrights. What was I doing when I was making my notes earlier? I don't know, but thanks for catching that one, Rod. I think that one's definitely intriguing. Last week? It was Verstappen and Truex that I think was the bet.
I threw a little bit down on that one. I was interested, and hey, one leg hit. We know one of them hit for sure. God, they need some fucking passing in that. Like, Rod, what's up with that? Like, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but man, like, can anyone beat this fucking guy?
Look, I'll give you the 15-second highlights of the whole thing, right? Verstappen is like any dynasty. It's like the Bulls, it's like the Niners, it's like you hate it while you're in it, but when you look back on it, you're like, oh my God, that was a dominant guy. And Max is just that good. So if you're gonna watch F1, watch from P2 to P20. That's where the action's at. Don't even worry about who wins the race because you know who's gonna do it. So that's what I have to say about F1. There's action all around, just not in front.
Yeah, absolutely. Elliot, anything else here that you would consider in the placement props?
Well, yeah, as I mentioned, Bell and Logano in the top 5 at plus 750. It's tough to have 2 of the top 5. Maybe worth a shot there. And
again, I wish that was top 10. I would get down on that at top 10. Yeah.
If it was top 10 at like 450, that might even not be that bad, honestly.
Is that a boost you're getting over at Caesars there?
Yeah, Bell Logano, both top 5 plus 750s over at Caesars.
I don't hate that. I really don't hate that, honestly. I think those are both guys. I mean, they did it in the spring. Bell's been very fast here both times we've been here. Logano, 2 top 10s as well at this configuration. So I don't mind that one at all, Elliot. I think that was a good find by you. I might be adding that.
I'll definitely consider it. There's a few I like better. This one, probably not one, but Brad Keselowski, I'm just super high on him. He's at plus 265 for a top 5. His top 10 number, I didn't like. It was, I think, only plus 100 or plus 110. So you're barely getting anything back there. But sometimes you eat the chalk at a super speedway, though, even for the favorite, it's not worth it. I don't even know that a Dale Earnhardt, plus 105 for a top 10 back in the day would have been something people would have bet. Top 10 numbers, I did have Stenhouse at plus 175, along with Eric Jones at the same price. Bowman plus 180 and LaJoy plus 200 for a top 10. Others that I'm watching in the top 10 market.
But Joy feels like the easiest bet in the world, but I'm so worried that like his luck has to run out at Atlanta. Like he's just been so lucky and fortunate, dodging the crashes that come. That's why I'm off Corey LaJoy. If I see him in a matchup, maybe I'll grab him. I do have him in some DFS lineups locked in already. But I think that's where I am with LaJoy. Don't mind the Jones call at all. Again, we kind of rode him earlier this season. It's just. It's tough. It's tough with that legacy garage, but as Rod noted, he's been pretty good as of late.
Definitely better than that car should put up.
Yeah, right. I do have one fun one too. There, Caesars is offering a double duty where they've got Ty Gibbs to finish in the top 5 in the Xfinity race, the Alsco 250, and top 5 in the Quaker State 400. So that's at plus 868. I love that. I mean, we just talked about how Ty Gibbs has been sort of hanging around there around the top 10, just outside of the top 5. So I don't know. This could be the race that he doesn't. And in the Xfinity race, I mean, he's one of the more dominant racers in the Xfinity series. Obviously, that's why he got his ride up there. He won this race in 2022 in the spring at Xfinity, was on the pole, but crashed out of the fall race. But I think he can obviously finish in the top 5 in Xfinity. Now all he's got to do is just get the other leg.
If it was top 5 Xfinity, top 10 Cup, I mean, that's a slam dunk bet. Even if the odds were a little bit lower, but top 5 in both is going to be tough. That's why you get those plus 868 numbers, was it?
Yeah, I don't mind that number. I don't think I have quite the balls this week after stomaching Chicago to do it, but I honestly don't. It is some value there. I like that call out there. Do you guys want to head to the head-to-heads market over here?
Yeah, head-to-heads and specials. Normally, I'm the guy to pick up all the weird stuff. I really don't have that many, so I'll open the door up to you guys first.
All right. Well, I got to give some love, some more cold custard love, boys. Throw it on there. Minus 105 at Caesars versus our guy, Austin Hill. And this comes more down to, like, I like Cole Custer. He's been good in Cup here, pretty good at Atlanta. 5 starts, 4 top 20s, 1 inside the top 10, just 1 DNF. And the number 51 car, I kind of dove into this as well. They've been better at super speedways than you think. Cody Ware in it at Daytona, 14th place finish, 24th in speed. JJ Yaley finished 11th and had top 15 speed at Dega. So both really good finishes there. Cody Ware, 25th at Atlanta, 32nd speed. So that's not too great. But I don't think he has to be better than 25th or 24th, in my opinion, to beat Austin Hill. This is a guy, and why the books are throwing this out, I think, is because he won at Atlanta and Xfinity earlier this season. So I think that's kind of what they're seeing here. That's why they're tempting you with this one. But I just don't trust this Beard Motorsports. This is a money laundering scheme right now. They didn't qualify for Daytona. They finished 24th at Talladega, but had the 37th average speed ranking. So I don't think these guys have a fast car at all. This guy has 3 career stars in the Cup Series. I'm fading him as hard as I can. And to do with Cole Custer makes it even more fun. How about it, boys?
Yeah, but my God, I never thought I'd see the day where we would have to take the juice on a Rick Ware car in a matchup. What the hell does the Cup Series come to when you do that?
I mean, I like these. I like these ones, and like to get him at just under plus money, I'm totally cool with taking Cole Custer there, honestly. And like I think this one's honestly a little bit mispriced if it was up to me, Rod.
Hey, listen, if he wins, then that cashes that bet and gets a 66-1 in the book. So I'm all right with that, man. Go 51. I'm going to be cheering my ass off for Cole Custer this week.
I think I might just have to get down on Cole Custer, like the outright, just for you, Rod. Honestly, man, you're making me want to ride him even a little bit more. So, Cole
best
Custer,
believe I'll have a message in the Twitter chat for you two when Custer ends up smacking the wall in the middle of stage 2.
And I fully expect it. I'm telling you right now, this is why we say expect to lose every bet you place this weekend. Just don't, this is our best guess.
We're all hyped about these bets that we picked out this week because it's so hard to find good bets. But again, we are all expecting none of them to hit, except for the random outright.
No, I'm expecting to go 4 for 4 here. I'm expecting perfection. Rod, anything else in the head-to-head or just group betting that you liked?
I'm pretty light on head-to-heads. Cody and I talked about it too in our show earlier this week. It's just head-to-heads on a super speedway. It's just so difficult to try to. So, but if you're going to take one you think it's going to be a slam dunk. And I think this one is going to be a slam dunk, and that's Ryan Preece and Noah Gragson. Minus 120 for Ryan Preece over Noah Gragson. I hate that it's juiced as much as it is. But
what's
for
the Gragson number on that one, Ron?
The Gragson number on that one is minus 110. So
yeah, I'm taking the Preece side of that too.
Yeah, the Preece side of that. And you just got to look at the last few finishes for both of these drivers. I mean, Ryan Preece, 15th at Chicago, 16th at Nashville, 13th at Sonoma, 17th at Gateway, 13th at Charlotte, 15th at Darlington. In that same span for Noah Gragson, 25th in Chicago, 26th in Nashville, 33rd in Gateway, 36th in Charlotte, 26th in Darlington. Listen, I got to go all the way back to Atlanta for a finish that's better than 20th. So,
hey, where are we racing this week, Rod?
And that's why I can't make this bet, Rod, because
I get that, but like hard luck has hit this 42 car, and Atlanta was his best race of the season
by far.
But that was early in the season.
Right. You're saying that is the exception rather than the rule.
Exactly. Yep. So I'm still taking Preece because Preece has been a far better driver than Gragson over the last few weeks. And for Preece in Atlanta, yeah, that sucked. It was 28th. But again, lately, he's been better.
Yeah.
All right. I'll round us out with my final bet of the night. This is the head-to-head. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. minus 120 over Eric Almirola over at Caesar Sportsbooks. And I've already talked about like why I love Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's been one of the best super speedways since 2022. And I think right now, Eric Almirola, he's been dog shit lately. He's been dog shit at these tracks as well. 30th place finish at Atlanta earlier this season, 18th in total speed ranking, 20th at Dega, 33rd in total speed ranking, 21st at Daytona, 19th in speed ranking. Do you guys get it? It's a lot of big numbers. It's a lot of big numbers, while Ricky Stenhouse is on the complete opposite side of this spectrum. And he's towards the number 1, number 2, number 3 slot in all of these races in those speed rankings and finishes. So I like Ricky Stenhouse a lot. Only way I think this one does not cash is if he wrecks out, and he's been really consistent as of lately. He's getting those finishes when Bubba Wallace just isn't, taking him into the corner for one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really starting to ditch that Recce Spinhouse label we always had on him.
We got Derek in the chat saying the books need to give us stage 1 head-to-heads. Yeah, man, that would be cool.
Eric, I'm telling you right now, we have pleaded for the books to get creative with some of these, man, because it's F1. You could bet on just about everything, like which tire gets changed first. It's just that's the level of intricacy you can get. And NASCAR, it's sort of like, okay, well, we'll just give you a new one. We'll give you as both to win top 5. You like that? That's good. But yeah, we need more.
Yeah. Definitely not as many people working for the NASCAR books than the F1 books, whole worldwide setup there. Even though F1 is more predictable, which is surprising that you got more bets there. We really could use it, but hey, the books have come a long way, and unfortunately not always in a good way for us, to win some money. But hey, we'll do our best here. One more bet I'll throw out there. Keselowski, high on him. Top Ford plus 500 on Barstool, and RFK plus 850 to win. If you're high on a driver, if you're this high, and you're dumb enough to put all your eggs in one basket or a whole bunch of eggs in one basket, take all these different bets for a guy. You got a Keselowski outright, a top 5, a top 10, a top Ford, an RFK. Again, maybe sprinkle, a quarter of a unit on 5 or 6 different bets. But then if they all hit, if the guy wins the race, you're in pretty good shape. But
yeah. I mean, Keselowski, it's like him and Logano and Blaney for me. It's like I think one of them are going to be the top Ford, but I don't mind it. Man. I almost kicked myself last week for not taking the Michael McDowell top Ford, and that was one that was staring me in the face. And turns out Austin Cindric was the top Ford. Who would have guessed that one? Rod, anything else from you here that we haven't touched on tonight?
Just that Bread K is going to have a fantastic Hawaiian bread roll car. It's beautiful. So I think I'll cheer for that one as well.
Hell yeah.
That's one of those, if you get the win, maybe you splurge and get the race version with some of these winnings I get with all the confetti on it, the nice little Lino Racing diecast. Keep up on the price on us, though. Hard to be a diecast collector nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. They know what they're doing for sure. Just want to shout out everyone in the chat, everyone tuning in tonight live. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We are busy over here at IBT Media. Just made a move this week, but we're in the new studio. Vibes are high over here. We got a lot of good content coming from us to you guys here on our YouTube, over on the website as well. Rod, what do you have cooking in addition to us over here at IBT Media?
Yeah, so you can follow me and my buddy Cody on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Find that wherever you find your podcasts, and on YouTube as well. We're posting our videos up there. We have been for a while. We put 5 shows out a week now. We do a recap and then all 3 series and a DFS show. So love it and having a good time with it. And then the F1 Gambling Podcast, for those of you who don't know a Max Verstappen from a George Russell, find out. Join us on the F1 Gambling Podcast. We got some picks for the British Grand Prix this week as well.
Love it, man. Appreciate the shout out, Derek. Happy to be in the 717. Had no idea that was my area code until now. So learning new things every single day. Elliot, what do you have for us, man? And bring us home.
Hey, for shouting out area code, shout out to both the 412 and the 570 there in Pennsylvania as well. Rod, what's your area code out there in Cali? You shouted out.
209. Got it.
There we go. All right. If you're into random 3-digit numbers like we are, there you go. But all right. Thanks for rolling with us this week. Best of luck on your bets, even though we warned you. It could be crazy, but best of luck this week, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks for rolling down the back road with us.